GC Radio.
GC Radio Humor Mill presents Myron Jewell's Fofo Show. That's right, you may know him as Cheatin' Ass Myron, or Myron with the Receipts, or Myron with the Fofo. That's right, Myron Jewell has his own show on GC Radio Humor Mill on Mondays and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Time. Tune in to GC Radio Humor Mill at gcradiohub.com. This message was brought to you by GC Radio at gcradiohub.com.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing out there? This is your favorite cousin Chief at GC Radio. And today I have with us the one and only Bill Stanton. Thank you for joining us today, Bill. How you doing today, bro?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Man, it's a pleasure to have you here. Today we're featuring Mr. Stanton, and we have the Rock'em Sock'em Boxheads in the background because we're talking about boxing. And Bill is no stranger to boxing. Bill has performed many duties and functions in the boxing community and has a lot to offer. And we're going to tune in to Bill and let him enlighten us with, what got him started. So, Bill, what was it like growing up, and how did you get introduced to boxing?
Grew up pretty good family, nice Christian home, but I always had a little wild side, and I was always a little scrapper, undersized in the neighborhood. And we moved to Buena Park, California, right when I turned 13, and local kids I met, they were like, hey, let's go to the rec center and play a little pool and air hockey, whatever. So I said, all right, I'll go. So we go down there, and I hear all this racket coming from behind these big double doors. And so I open these doors, and I look in, it's a boxing gym, guys hitting the bag and sparring and everything. And I never seen a gym before. And of course, I grew up watching boxing, with my dad and stuff. And then the kids were like, hey, let's go over here. We got the pool balls. I'm like, no, I'm going in here. And that was it. Never stepped away.
Wow, wonderful. So once you heard the sounds of the bag and felt the energy of boxing, how long did it take you to get active?
Next day, I went in, and old man named Pollock, I don't even know his real name. He said, hey, what are you doing in here? I said, I'm gonna do what they're doing. And he said, well, take these papers home, have your parents sign them, and bring them back tomorrow, and we'll start working. I was like, all right. So went home, mom and dad signed these papers. They were like, all right, that'll keep you, out of trouble. I said, sure, let's do it. Went back the next day and started training.
Cool. So from starting training, how long did it take to actually get in the ring? Because people think you just throw the gloves on, you start swinging like Rock'em Sock'em Boxheads in the background. But it's a lot more to boxing just swinging at a person and hitting. You got to get physically fit. You got to be mentally ready. And you try swinging at somebody hard as you can and ducking and swinging at you. It's tiring. You need to be in shape for that. So how long did it take you to get in the ring and start sparring or actually start fighting?
It took me about probably close to 3 months to start sparring. Pollock, he was a great trainer, from what I remember way back in the day. And it all started with, attitude, paying attention, Started with the basics, learn how to stand, learn how to hold your hands properly, learn how to step, learn how to throw a proper jab. So it was probably close to 3 months before I even got in the ring and sparred.
Now I'm gonna ask you that magical question. You in the ring sparring. A lot of people don't realize sparring is actually fighting because you're boxing. You're not just sitting there, being a test. I mean, even though you're sparring, you're trying to get the upper hand. Even though the goal is to sharpen the other person's skills and show them a different offensive defense, but you're in there to trying to hit people as well, not just receive the blows. But when you wasn't sparring, you got in your first match. What was it like? Was you afraid, or was you okay from the sparring? I mean, did the sparring get you prepared for that? What was your first fight like?
Never really afraid. I was one of the fearless kind of kids, but definitely nervous as heck. Not knowing what to expect, and of course, you got people around watching now. Before, it's just people in the gym. Now you got strangers watching you. So yeah, I was very, very nervous.
Wow. So when you in the ring and you're nervous and they hit the bell and all the train, see, people don't understand. When you prepare for boxing, you have to prepare. It's no way. The coach can only guide you. The trainers can only set you up. The electricians get you straight. But it's you and that person and two pair of gloves and two pair of shoes in that ring. And you got to take what all you've learned and what all you are equipped with and ready and give it your all. So even though you was nervous, what was the first fight like? Who did you fight? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Another kid, and kind of like your picture in the background is Rock Soccer Robot going for it.
So no technique. You guys just slugging it out.
Yeah, well, you forget everything you learn. That comes in time. After so many years, it's muscle memory, and right away. And that's what I used to tell the kids I used to coach is, first few times you get in the ring, you ain't gonna remember anything. Your hands up and do what you do.
Now, I remember when I was a kid and we used to love to box. We only had one pair of gloves. So somebody had the right glove, somebody had the left glove. So if you was right, you got
Yeah.
So
I remember those days too, yeah.
So did you do Golden Glove or anything? So what happened after the first match?
Silver gloves, golden gloves. Yeah, I started boxing at 13, so I went through silver gloves and then into golden gloves.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that, with boxing, had to get fit, you had the attitude and discipline. Did it help you with your grades and the attitude around the house, or did it just sharpen your skills to defend yourself when you had to step out in the streets?
No, it helped me in all aspects of life, really. Because one of the rules of the gym was, and I based my own amateur gym when I had it, was you've got to get good grades, you got to be respectful. You've got to be respectful to your teachers, to your peers, to your parents. You teach you to be responsible. You learn self-respect, self-discipline. So I'm a firm believer, and not just in boxing, but any sport, any activity that all kids should be in it. Because you learn so much through it, not just learn how to fight.
Right. I'm with you on that one. I'm definitely with you on that one. The name of the game is respect, and whatever you're doing, you have a sense of trust and respect, and people don't believe it, but we respect and trust people every day. When you're driving down the street, I respect that you know the rules, and I trust that you're going to follow them and stay in your lane and don't hit me on head on playing chicken. So
right.
All aspects of life, believe it or not. So tell me this. So as you're growing up, you're around 16, 17, and when you get toward around 20, you still boxing. What happens? What's going on in life at this point?
I was a young dad, and so I had that responsibility, and too young to be a dad at the time. And so I was just in and out of the gym a lot. Didn't have a whole lot of time to focus in the gym at times. There was times I went in in just street clothes and threw headgear on, sparred 5 rounds, 6 rounds, and called it a workout and had to go home or had to go back to work. It's a struggle. Being a serious boxer is a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that when you starting out boxing, you don't have a sponsor. You don't have a financial backing. You have to budget on your own budget, and you have to work to be in the gym. It's not free. It's not a scholarship. But at the same time, you have a family and bills and everything else. But whatever you do muster up and save, you put in the craft and workout time. It's a hell of an investment in oneself. It's not just something to do like you going to the park to shoot basketball or just hanging out. So how do you balance all that, being a young father and having a job and being over the household? That's a lot of responsibility for a young person.
Oh, absolutely. There was times that I had to step away from the gym, away from the sport. There was times that I threw myself into the gym more than I should have. Especially when you're young. If you don't have a solid mentor or somebody older that's been through it to guide you,
Uh,
a lot of times you're learning as you go.
On job training, huh?
Absolutely, yes.
Cool, cool, cool. So, with the task of being a father and balancing boxing and working, all that in your young 20s, what was the next stage for Bill? What happened next?
I fought amateur. I want to say late 20s, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And then at the time, because we're talking way back, in the 81 when I walked in the gym the first time.
Okay.
And so back in the day, all the guys, I ended up moving from California back to Tucson, where I grew up primarily, and then family in Omaha, Nebraska. So I went back there, and all the guys in the gym were turning pro. And back in the day, the local circuit, you were either fighting for the ticket money, that you were selling. That was it.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them were getting $400 for 4 rounders, but they were getting $100 a round. So if they
Wow.
got knocked out or knocked their opponent out in the first round, they got $100. And I started seeing these flyers around for the Native American reservation tough man, where they're paying $1,000, $1,500 to go fight in this tough man tournament on the weekend. And I'm watching my buddies come back, got stitches in their eye, and after they, 4 round fight, they got to carry the guy to get their 400 and paying their gym, their coach. They're lucky to put 100, 150 in their pocket. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go try this tough man out. And so I go up there, and most of the guys, are bar stool guys, and maybe they might have boxed once or twice in the backyard or something. So I just started schooling all these guys in tough mans. I started doing that, picking up 1,000, 1,500 every weekend. Fighting, going to tournaments, every couple of weeks, and just following that kind of circuit for a few years. And then our door came to town, and he had started the original Tub Man. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to go try this out. And won my first regional Tub Man. And our door's impressed with me. And I got invited to the World Championships and fought in the World Tub Man Championships a couple times and fought for our door for about 10 years. So to be honest, technically, I was never a professional boxer because I followed the Tub Man circuit, which was a lot easier having a family and having a job and everything else. I didn't have to be as dedicated trying to get to a 12-round world championship fight. And, so that's the route I took. And I wish back in the day, I'd have been more dedicated to it or in a position to be. But that was the way the cards were dealt. And so I just ran with it.
Okay. Wow. So how long did you do is it the tough man thing? Was that considered amateur or was that professional?
Technically, it was amateur, but they were paying money. That's why they were on the reservations.
Uh-huh.
And then some states without commissions at the time, they would go to. West Virginia still to today has a lot of tough mans. So some people called it semi-pro, some people called it amateur. Because you were getting paid, they call it semi-pro. To me, there's no such thing as a semi-pro. Either you're an
Right.
amateur or you're doing a professional 4 round fight, starting out. So to me, it was amateur, but we were getting paid.
Oh, okay. So when did you hit the professional side of boxing?
When did I get involved in that?
Uh-huh. The professional side of boxing.
I got involved in that. Well, I was always around it because all my buddies and everything.
Uh-huh.
Just I was always in the boxing gym and around some good fighters, good up and comers, and I got into the business side of it probably. Well, coaching aspect, I got in early 30s. I got into coaching amateur boxing, competitive boxing team, and then mid to late 30s, I started working with some pros. Some of the amateurs turning pro, and then other pros sought me out, local pros, and then I got in the business side around early 40s.
Okay. So what was the transition like for you from becoming a boxer to becoming a trainer?
It wasn't very difficult because I had learned on the job all through the years, and I had seen hundreds and hundreds of boxers, coaches, guys with mitts, trainers, the whole aspect. So it wasn't real difficult. And what I found was I actually enjoyed training and coaching fighters more than I enjoyed the fight part at that age. Because I could be a mentor. I did a lot of mentoring.
Right.
The name of my amateur club was HITS, HYTS, helping youth to succeed.
Wow.
And that way I could do a lot of mentoring because back when I was younger and out of the gym, like we were talking about starting a family and all that, I also made a lot of mistakes, was incarcerated several times. I just had a lot to give back to the kids that I didn't have a lot of that when I was coming up. I had some good coaches, but nobody that wanted to really, see what I was doing on Saturday night at 8 p.m. or things like that. So it was great to get with these young kids and really stay on them and just kind of not be their dad or their teacher or their minister, but just give them life lessons. Talk to them about what really happens.
Man, that's positive, and it's great that you did that, man. And there's a lot of that needed, and you saw how boxing gave you discipline, taught you respect, it taught you morals, and you were able to teach that and train that to another generation of people that maybe not have had a father or the father figure in their life. It's wonderful that through boxing you're able to transcend that and pass that torch to another person. Um, have there been a time where you helped somebody that through boxing, as a trainer, coach, or whatever, and you see them later and they come back and like, hey man, you helped save my life?
Yeah, I've had it a few times. Yeah, and it's pretty rewarding. At the time, give them a big hug and big smile, and later when nobody's looking, might shed a tear. You know.
Man, it's wonderful when the things you do affect somebody and affect somebody with a positive impact like that. Because everybody's important. We all someone's child or son or husband somewhere down nephew down the line. If the other person is not around, somebody's grandma, granddad, uncle, somebody, sibling, we belong to somebody. And it's nice to have somebody on that extended family to reach out and show you something that you can make a living on, show you something that will better you as a person, even if you don't make a living on it. And you increasing their quality of life by getting them fit. So it's multiple attributes of what you're doing, man. I mean, right on. I appreciate that. Right on what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely rewarding, especially when you see their hand raised in the ring, and then you see them graduate, junior high, high school.
Okay. So with that in mind, what after you start training and I'm assuming at this point you're training, you're no longer boxing. What other aspect of boxing? What was left for you to conquer in the boxing arena?
Well, I boxed through the tough man up till I was 38. That was the last world championship with our door. And then when I was 37, I believe in '05, somewhere around there, I believe it was '05. MMA came back with Dana White and the Ultimate Fighter.
Uh-huh.
So now I've got all these amateurs that I coach through junior high, high school, these amateur boxers in Omaha, Nebraska, and they're all wrestlers. Everybody wrestles in the Midwest. And so now they're like, hey, let's try this MMA stuff. I already know how to box and I know how to wrestle. I'm like, all right, well, let's try it. And so then I took them to the first amateur fight and I was like, hey, I got to try this. That looks fun.
You jumped in the ring too?
Yeah. I fought MMA from 37 years old to 44 years old.
Wow.
I didn't do well though. I can admit it. I never wrestled, so I didn't do well.
Man, I mean, I look at MMA just like I look at rugby. People say rugby is fake, and it's not all that. And let me tell you, man, when I was in high school, my mother told me if I played sports, I didn't have to wash dishes. So I'm one of those kids. I was on a track team. I was on a track relay, the shot put, the javelin. I went out for the basketball team. I didn't quite make that, but I practiced so I didn't have to wash dishes. And then I played football. I wrestled. I did some everything, debate team, ski team, and I did it all. But then my high school was the only high school that had a rugby team, so we played against colleges. And I thought rugby was cool because the time of practice wasn't long as football, and they had those nice shirts, man, with the stripes on. They were like the shirts was cool. And I never forget, I went to Skyline High School in Oakland. We played against Foothill College. I think it's like near Silicon Valley. And my boy Jeremy Fuganaga got his face stepped on by a guy, had to hit his whole cheek, face reconstructed, and I quit that day. I'm like, you got to give me pads. It got real that day. When you see somebody in their face get smashed, internal structure, their face get smashed, I mean, it ain't the same. And the hits hurt, man. You got knee pads and elbow pads, and it's not like football. You got a helmet, shoulder pads, thigh pad, hip pad. I mean, it's totally different. It's a man sports, and MMA is a man sports, man. I mean, it's boxing with kicking and elbows, and the gloves is not as padded. you get power driven, slam into the cage. I mean, it's a step from going outside in the backyard. Just said, what the hell? Let's throw them up, So I get my heads up to those guys. I mean, they have a whole lot less rules. The impact is a whole lot more, and you got to be a much tougher soul. I can do MMA from outside the ring. Definitely outside the ring, spectator. But man, you said you did it from what age? From 37 to 42?
44. Yeah. It's like I said, when I was young, before the box came along, I was a little scrapper. My mom, she called me a bully stopper. And usually that meant they stopped bullying other people to beat me up. But I just, I didn't let nobody get bullied, and I didn't get bullied. And I just always, I like fighting. And one thing I found about boxing, and when I got hit real good, I was like, yeah, that's what I want. Let's go, And so kind of MMA was a fun version of that. Although I'll tell you, I was a bloody mess at times because everybody wrestles, so they knew I boxed. So these guys that were my kids' age, JUCO wrestlers, D1, D2 wrestlers, taking me down, beating me up, choking me out. But yeah, it was just a good time. I did that, just for the mini vacation on the weekends. They're paying my travel and hotel and gas and food, and I'd load up the wife and kids in the car and be like, hey, we're going to Kansas City, we're going to Minneapolis, and just have a little mini vacation out of it. I get beat up so the kids have a good time. Wow,
that's amazing. So you said the kids stopped beating up other kids and beat up on you.
yeah, literally, yeah.
Wow, that is off the hook.
Yeah.
So when you start training, so you've been a boxer, you're an MMA fighter, you've been a trainer. Any other aspects of the boxing world you endeavored in and picked up?
Yeah, now I'm a licensed matchmaker and manager, state of Nevada, live in Las Vegas. I've helped match a lot of cards around the country. I was the head matchmaker for show in St. Louis last year. Working with the East Coast promoter now, exclusively, signing some of my boxers to him, also helping match his cards. And I just love the game, man. I love the sport.
Wow. Wonderful. So, man, so you're doing matchmaking. How many divisions do you matchmake for? I mean, like there's the amateur world, there's the Golden Glove, there's the IBO, there's the WBC. Which outfits do you usually match fights for?
Most of it is a smaller local. Well, all of it is a smaller local regional type. Okay. All professional boxing, but no organization. Just independent promoters. but I
Okay.
have put boxers on, my own boxers, along with other boxers on top rank cards, Golden Boy cards, Mayweather cards, Roy Jones Jr. cards.
Okay. So you got any fights coming up soon? Any fighters getting in the ring?
Yeah, actually, this Saturday, just north of Houston in Conroe, Texas, I got a top prospect heavyweight. He's 2-0, two knockout, and he's fighting Saturday night in Conroe. So I'm flying out early Friday morning to get there by weigh-ins, and then fighting Saturday, and then I'm flying back to Vegas on Sunday.
That's going to be interesting to see how he does. It's not he's 2-0, so he's trying to get his numbers up to get to a title fight soon. Is
Yes.
okay. So how many fights in that card? Do you know?
That I don't know. I know they got some really good boxers on there. I'm actually meeting with another young man. He was number 3 in the country in the amateurs, and he's a super middleweight. And we've been in talks for about a month now. So not only do I get to go support my own boxer, I'm going to meet with this young man and his family, and possibly sign a management deal with him. And one thing about me in the management world is, I tell everybody I'm like the big brother. I'm not out there trying to make blood. I call it blood money. I'm not out there trying to make blood money off these kids. And even though they're adults, I call them kids because they're young. But I'm not out there trying to, you're getting 10 grand, give me half of it, or give me a third. A lot of managers are charging 33 and a third percent.
Right.
And a lot of them don't really put out much to receive that. So I'm like the big brother. I take a very small percentage. I look out for them. I make sure they're getting the best possible opponents, the best purses. They're treated right. Otherwise there's going to be an issue with me and that matchmaker, me and that promoter. Because even at my age, I ain't scared to get in somebody's face if I got to. But yeah, don't mess my boxers over.
I respect that. So man, wow. So now you run a lot of hats in the boxing arena, man. I mean, wow, you got your true guru, boxer, trainer, MMA trainer, and now you're a manager and a fight scheduler. Next we're gonna have you promoting shows. That's gonna be full circle, bro.
Yeah, I actually did promote a lot of shows.
How did we skip that part, man? How did you get to
I'm not
promoting
sure.
the shows?
Yeah, I was in Omaha, Nebraska, 20 years, married, raising kids, and at the time, Nebraska and a lot of the Midwest states weren't sanctioned, so there was a local promotion in Omaha, small scale, and he actually fought to get sanctioned in the state of Nebraska, so they did it. Well, then when he found out that how much it was going to cost to actually hold a sanctioned event, he jumped across the river to Council Bluffs, Iowa, where it was unsanctioned. And I'm like, well, now that there's blood work, there's ambulances, there's doctors. I don't want my kids and the kid, my own son and the kids, that were in my training camp on my team. I don't want to fight and, not unsanctioned anymore. So I said, well, I'm going to start promoting. So I held the first sanctioned events in Omaha, Nebraska, MMA events.
Wow. Man, that's great. And just think of it, you did it not just to make the money, but try to create a safe, sound environment for your kids to fight in and structured. That is like amazing, man. Just the total
Yeah,
dedication
absolutely.
to the
I
sport.
actually lost a lot of money. I actually lost a whole lot in the beginning. I made a little bit of money towards the end of it, but yeah, in the beginning.
So actually, if you can go back to your younger self getting in boxing, how would you direct yourself to go and what advice would you give yourself?
I would have been a lot more dedicated. I would have stayed off the streets, the bad environments that got myself incarcerated. I had the potential to be a world contender, maybe a world champion. I had the skills, I had the heart, I had the chin. I had everything it took, except I chased a lot of easy money, a lot of quick money, and it panned out when I didn't get caught. But once I got caught, it definitely wasn't worth it.
Okay. Right now, I know a lot of people listen to this, man, and learning who you are, Bill, and want to reach out to you. Is there a gym or a phone number, a social media website they can reach you at?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a website domain. I haven't built the website yet. I'm not real technology smart, but I'm on Facebook under Bill Stanton, Las Vegas. Picture of me and my longtime girlfriend, fiance, and then I've got a boxing group on Facebook. I actually just started. For boxers is looking for fights, managers, matchmakers, or promoters, matchmakers looking for guys they need. It's called Fight Finder Connections. That's a private group on Facebook, but I can always add, anybody.
Okay.
And then my email is FLM Fight Life Management. So it's just the initials FLM Boxing at gmail.com. And got a local Vegas phone number 702-670-8988. Yeah, anybody is involved in boxing or wants to be, hit me up, call me, text me, get me on Facebook, send me an email. I'm one of the rare guys, in the sport that I found anyway that, I want to help everybody. Be honest, be straightforward with me. I'll be honest, straightforward with you. And as everybody knows, the boxing business is definitely shady at sometimes, and a lot of cutthroat people out there. But at the same time, it's a big family. It doesn't matter what boxer it is. There's deaths every year in boxing. It's a very dangerous sport. And so regardless who you get along with, who you don't in the sport, everybody comes together. When tragedy does happen, or for the most part, somebody needs help. But a lot of guys don't want to give their time and guidance, and that's where I come in. Like I said, I'm like the big brother. I don't want whether it be talking to you about life and what you need to do as a man, not just a boxer. There's life after boxing, to where one day you're gonna have to go get a job. Boxing's done unless you're like Floyd Mayweather, of course. You got all that money, but yeah, that's just like I said. That's where I come in. There's so much more involved in boxing than just boxing, and I shoot it straight, and I'm willing to help anybody out.
So you mentioned that you schedule fights. So you schedule fights all over the country for different promoters, and you willing to manage and train anybody that got the heart to train.
Yeah, I don't personally train much anymore.
Okay.
But I have trainers I use like here in Vegas. I offer my boxers, even guys I've never met that I know are serious boxers. I've got a guest room. I offer them, hey, come to Vegas. You can stay for free. All you got to do is buy your plane ticket. I'll feed you. Stay for free. I've got ex world champion pro boxers that are coaches now, that I set them up with so they can get stay a week or two and train with these great coaches. I don't want to name them on there without their permission, but definitely some Olympic gold medalists and multi-time world champion retired boxers that are now
Wonderful,
coaches.
wonderful ways. I'm about to come over there and get one of them rooms. I want to do another vacation to Vegas and tell you I'm gonna get in the ring with you.
You just got to come to the gym, hit the bag.
Yeah, it's all right. That's right. Well, Bill, I thank you so much, man, for enlightening us and sharing with us today. Is there anything else you want to put out there and let the public know?
Nah, just this is new for me doing these podcast things, and I really appreciate it, Chief, to have me on here. And ever thinking about getting in boxing, it's a way of life, it's a lifestyle, it's not a hobby, it's very dangerous. So if it's not something that you can really be dedicated to and be in shape for, don't mess with it, because it's definitely a very dangerous sport to be in if you're not serious.
Wonderful. All for the highlights and the lookouts. And that in mind, we will be reaching back out to you, Bill. We will be having some clubhouse summits. We'll have you on as an expert in boxing and your tribulations to get people interested in inquiring about the sports. Like you said, Square Ring Magazine is the entity to boxing and networking to bring the pieces together, the missing link. and you are part of that missing link that we like to bring back on the puzzle. You know, the jigsaw puzzle turned upside down. We got to mix it up and shake it up, flip them over, and put it together. And you one of the iconic pieces to make that happen. So we definitely will look forward to having you back, finding out what happened after Friday with your fighter, and having you also on our Clubhouse conference. We'd love to have you back, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, just let me know.
You got it, bro. But this is your favorite cousin Chief at GC Radio, also reporting live for Square Ring Magazine. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and listening to the interview with me and Mr. Bill and the things that he has to come forward and more from Square Ring Magazine and your favorite cousin Chief and GC Radio. We'll be back after these messages.